Hey guys, Tristan here, and today I have a quite unique video for you guys. It's something I don't do often, but I think it's going to be really cool and really fun for a lot of you guys. So, a lot of you guys know I built my own computer a couple years ago, and that's been my main source for the videos since I built it. And a lot of you have asked what's in it, and I've been wanting to do a video on it. You know, because a lot of people want to know what's in the powerhouse that's behind all the heavy-duty work for my channel. Because this is a computer I do all my rendering, everything behind the scenes of the channel is primarily done on this computer. Even though some of it's hand-to-hand with the RC itself, a lot of the heavy lifting is done by this thing. So I'm in the middle. I just finished tearing it completely apart because I'm in the middle of my yearly cleaning. I finally did it. I'm pretty late on this, but I wanted to get on here, do a video while I put it back, because a lot of people were wondering what's in it. So that's what we're gonna do. For the foundation of this computer, I have the Corsair Air 540 Cube case. Now this case is beautiful because it's very large and it's perfect for beginners when building a computer. It has plenty of room for wire management, and it separates the high temp pieces from the low temps. So you have plenty of room for air cooling or water cooling for the components that really need it. And it keeps the other components away from all that heat. So I've already taken out all the fans of this case to clean them out. And in the case, I have the 3 fans that came with the case, which are the standard Corsair fans. We got 2 of the ones that have the LED and the one standard, and then later I had put in 3 Thermaltake ring fans. These are high pressure fans, and well, though I like the look of these fans, they just don't cut it for what I'm using them for, because these are actually meant for water cooling, not standard case cooling. They can be used for standard, but they work best for sitting up against heat sinks and radiators. So I went ahead and bought all new fans from work, and these are going to be beautiful on this case. I have the ML120 and the ML140, just different sizes of the Pro LED fans, and these are, instead of using standard ball bearings, these actually use magnetic bearings. So it is actually going to be quite quiet. The only sound that's going to be produced is from the motor and from the air itself. There's actually going to be nothing from the bearings. So I'm excited to see, and I got all 6 of them in the right sizes. And now we can go ahead, put them into each slot that I have. There's going to be 3 on the front, 2 on the top, and 1 in the back, and there's going to be 4 screws that hold each one in place. Alright guys, let's meet what powers this powerhouse, and that's going to be the RM1000 Corsair power supply. This bad boy puts out 1,000 watts, and that is huge, and it may be a little bit overkill for this computer, but I wanted to build this thing with future in mind. So this 1,000 watts may now be a little overkill, but in the future this thing might need it. So yes, that is what powers it. A nice little on-off switch, and it's really cool because this right here, the C-Link, I can actually see and control the power supply from my computer, and it just sits nice and snug right here in the case. 4 screws hold it to the back, and a little plate supports it in the front. For memory, I have a Mushkin Reactor 1TB SSD at 6 GB per second. Guys, these SSDs are great. If you guys are in the market for an SSD, I highly recommend Mushkin. They're a US brand, not well known, but they stack up very nicely to Samsung SSDs, which are another really great product. So yeah, Mushkin are definitely right on par with Samsung, and they're a lot cheaper too. So I highly recommend Mushkin if you guys are going to get an SSD. And they have, recently they came out with a 2 terabyte, or they're coming out with one, and they also said they're coming out with a 4 terabyte. And the 4 terabyte's only supposed to be like $500, And if you've ever seen SSDs, a 500 4 terabyte SSD, that's crazy cheap for all considering, because SSDs can go upwards to 400 alone just at 1 tera to 2 tera. So yeah, I highly recommend Mushkin. And for the SSDs, they go in this little cage here. I can have a maximum of 4 SSDs in this computer with this cage. It slides right on in there. Power cable goes right there. Pops into place, and then it just goes right here and slides right on in. For my 5 1/4 inch expansion base, I have a Silverstone card reader that comes with an additional 4 USBs, one being a charge USB. This charges things twice as fast, but it does not use any data, so it can only be used for charging, unfortunately, but that's okay with me. And the other expansion I have is a LG Blu-ray reader and writer. So this is for whenever I need to install something or watch movies or burn something in Blu-ray, whichever I end up using. But for these, they just kind of slide right into place and lock in. Gotta slide the cables in for this one, just like that. Now that we have all the plain stuff put in, we can now get to the fun stuff. Starting off with my motherboard. The motherboard I went with was a Gigabyte GA990FXA UD5R5. It's a AMD motherboard for the AM3 chipset. A little outdated now that they have released the new AM4 just earlier this year, but maybe one of these days I might upgrade this to an AM4 chipset, which means I'd have to get a new motherboard, a CPU, and RAM. But when it comes to performance, the new chipsets are amazing. But yeah, this motherboard comes with 6 PCIe's, one being a miniature, and then we got the PCI right down here, which almost nothing uses a PCI anymore. It's got a total of 8 SATA plugs and 3 fan plugs. Now there's an issue here with what I have on my computer already and what I have available now with on my motherboard is I have a total of 6 fans, but only 3 available slots. I'm gonna need some splitters, and those I have off the side. But yeah, so you gotta love fans. Gotta love them. So now all we gotta really need to do is to take our little faceplate for the motherboard, and this pops in right back here. Kind of hard to see. And once that's in place, we can slide our motherboard right in over the screws, find a little pivot that holds it in place, and then screw down the 8 screws that screwing around it. Next we have the brain of the computer, the processor. This little thing is what makes this entire thing work. For my processor, I went with the AMD FX 9590. This is a 8-core processor that goes at 4.7 clock speed, and it can be overclocked to about 5.4 if memory serves correctly. I don't overclock, so I've never hit anywhere close to that. But yeah, this is a beast of a processor, probably one of the best in the AM3 line of processors from AMD. And yeah guys, you want to be extremely careful with this. If you pinned even one of those pins, you're in for a lot of fun. But to install this, it's as easy as lifting this little lever back, sliding it into place. It should fit nice and snug if you're putting it in correctly, which is having that arrow right here pointing in the right direction. Slide it in there and then push the lever down, and there you go. Next I'm going to slide in my RAM. The RAM is kind of like the short-term memory of the computer. Before you can start up any program, access any files, the data has to go from your hard drive into the RAM cards. That way it can be accessed at any point before you close it down. So it really is kind of like the short-term memory of the computer, and once you're done, it just all goes back to the hard drive. Now I have the Corsair Dominator Platinum RAM, which is a very nice high quality cards. I have them at 1600 megahertz for speed, and I have them all at 8 gigabytes. I have 4 of them. That gives me 32 gigabytes of RAM, and that's the max for this motherboard. Before, on my old computer, the Hornet I called it, it had only 10 gigabytes of RAM. Whenever I started rendering, it would crash because I had filled the RAM. So having plenty of RAM is always a good thing. It may not increase your speed of the computer, but it does help with multitasking. And to install them, they really just go in and slide into place. And if you don't have the same amount on each card, these RAM are actually paired in a certain way. So if you look, I have 2 black RAM slots and 2 gray RAM slots. These slots are actually paired together. So when you put your RAM in, if you have different sizes of RAM, you want to put the same sizes in the corresponding slots, just so that it works a lot better when you do that. Next piece of hardware is the GPU, the graphics processing unit, also known as the graphics card. This is in charge of taking all the information from, say, video games or from the operating itself, processes all the information, and then outputs a display to your monitor. So if you're playing a really graphics heavy or physics heavy game or program, this is what does it. It's the graphics processing unit. For the graphics, I have a AMD FXX R9 It's a great processor. Again, it's an outdated one now that AMD has come out with not only the 400 series, but the 500 series. I do plan on eventually also upgrading this to a AMD FXX 580, which just blows this thing out of the water. It does it. It's twice the power from this thing. So it's an insane boost. But to install it, all you need to do is slide it into one of the PCIe ports. Once you hear the click or you see the lock engage, you want to come over here and screw down 2 screws that hold the rails in place. There's one last minor component I need to install on this computer, and that's going to be my USB 3.0 expansion from Silverstone. This little PCIe card adds 2 additional USB 3.0 internal headers to the computer. I use this because both my case and my card reader use USB 3.0 connections, but I only have one. So this is what that purpose of this card is. This also adds where you can put like a USB 3.0 to USB 2.0 splitter headers if you need that, but they have these in all different sizes and shapes and quantities of USBs. So if you need something like this, I highly recommend looking into it. But like before, it just slides right into the PCIe port and gets screwed down with a single screw. Now, before I put any cooling into this computer, I'm going to go ahead and go around and start plugging things in. This is a very long and hard process because trying to get the cable management to look just right or not be in the way of anything is a pain. So I'm going to gloss right over it. But yeah, guys, I'm going to go in and start plugging things in, power to all the components, and just organizing everything so it just looks good. Because it is one of the harder things to do on a computer, is just trying to get this to look good. But yeah, guys, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, now I have cable management done, and that took a long time, probably around 2 hours of me doing all the cables. I hate cable management. It takes forever to make it even look remotely good. But yeah, so one of the last few things that we really need to do is put on the cooling system. And for cooling, I have a Noctua D15S radiator. Now yes, it's air cooled, but with this big of a radiator, it is insane. It keeps this computer nice and cool, but eventually I'll do water cooling. So all we need to do, I already have thermal paste, place it on the bottom of it, is to put it into place, screw it down, then plug in the fan for it. And just like that, guys, the computer is back together. Command is looking pretty clean now, which I am very happy about. But let's plug them in. Take a look at the new fans too. I'm really excited to see these. Alright guys, here we go. Powering up. Those fans look good. Curious. Man, that looks good. Everything is laying up that's supposed to be up. Nothing down there. Those fans are good. Man. And it's starting up. Don't you love it when a plan comes together? Yep. So now, hey, and it's updating. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Command is set to go with the new fans. A lot louder than I remember. Probably just, I don't know. Then again, these are higher RPM fans, so that makes a lot of sense. But yeah guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As you guys can see, you finally have an idea of my computer. Yes, and I know this is mainly videos mainly for those that have been asking for, you know, what's on all my computer, and a little test. So if you guys want me to post more videos about Command here whenever I do an upgrade or something to him, get on the channel and do that to him. But yeah, let me guys know, because this is definitely a little test to see how it all went. And yeah, I think it went good. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below.